What's good? Honey, go Jasmine back to have another cozy, chill, vibey chat with y'all about Severance. Y'all know I like to yap, and y'all know I had to come on here to do it because I only have one friend that I got into this show, and she works a lot. So this is my place to kind of just do that with y'all. So we're returning back to the roots of this thing that I'm doing. And instead of this being like a reaction video, it's going to go back to being a recap. So I did already watch the episode and I got my notes right here. And I don't have every single little detail, but that's where y'all come in, okay? This is like we homies, we chilling, homeboys, homegirls, homebodies that are just obsessed with this masterpiece of a show. So I'm gonna pretty much just like recap it, you feel me, so we can get back into it. And along the way, just kind of sprinkle in my thoughts and theories here and there. And I may need y'all help, okay? So if I mess up a detail or if I kind of forget something, that's y'all chance to comment and like let me know what y'all thoughts are and whatnot. So this is episode 8, Sweet Vitriol. And this was a short and sweet episode, y'all. And not only was it short and sweet, but like y'all was not. Like I feel like the departments was fighting, the departments was tussling. Like, why are we talking about this being a filler episode? Why are we saying that this is the worst episode in the whole entire show at this point? I mean, I just went on IMDb to confirm a character's name, and it got the worst rating. It's at a 6.7 out of 10. That's crazy to me because this episode for me answered hella questions, and it was the first time I didn't leave hella confused. I'm actually excited to see more development because it feels like the story's picking up now. It's been sort of slow. I mean, I think it was like episode 5 maybe that I felt like was kind of like my least favorite. I was like, oh, okay. I was kind of surprised y'all didn't feel like that about that episode. What y'all feel about this one? We got the most answers we could have asked for. Like, come on now, let's get into it. I mean, before I even watched the episode, this was the most spoilers I had ever seen too. So now we know that the true creator behind Severance is Miss Cobell. I mean, she been real humble. I mean, yes, she's been wanting to be all up in the weeds and see what's going on and like is the severance procedure working and stuff, but I feel like at the same time she's been kind of humble. I mean, she didn't let it slip or slide not one time that this was her idea. And yeah, that was interesting to me. But pretty much what the episode starts off at is it picks up where we left off with Miss Cobell and Helena's exchange, and pretty much Helena being like, hey, you're overestimating how much we really need you. I think we need to reset you and take you to the board. And Miss Cobell was like, hell no. So Miss Cobell returned back to her hometown of Salt's Neck on this windy road next to a cliff that me personally I wouldn't drive on. I always be like, babe, can you drive? I'm sorry, not doing it. But it was a nice view, and when she gets to Salt's Neck, that nice view stops real quick because you could tell right off the rip that this town is dilapidated. Whatever they went through, whatever hardships this town has seen, it's got it looking real rough. And it's wild that it seemed like a lot more people were talking about how the scene of Miss Cobell brushing her teeth was rough. When for me, it was really the fact that maybe she wanted to feel clean. Like in this moment, I'm like, it feel a little dirty. Might want to brush my teeth too. I was just on the road. But nah, for real, there's definitely a connection between cleanliness and teeth in Lumen. And yeah, we're introduced to more of the energy of the town with the person that's obviously on drugs, just doing it right there in that broken down bus. So yeah. And we cut right into a new cast of people that we haven't seen before. They also unfortunately look like this town run down, down and out, but there seems to be a camaraderie of love here. When we see how the waiter deals with the patrons of this diner, he ends up slipping the guy a nondescript bottle, but we end up seeing Miss Cobell coming in this diner, and the reception she got from these people was just as cold as the weather outside. Like ice floating in the water. Once I see that, I know it's not the place for me, but this is their home, right? And obviously they recognize her because she's kind of just standing there and they're just like, girl, what you doing here? So another thing I noticed about this place too, just to kind of get into a little bit of like world building here, it's interesting. This is the first place I think that has not had some type of Egan name attached to it. This is the Drippy Pot Cafe. Now Drippy Pot to me sounds a little druggy. I don't know like right off the rip what the reference is, but I don't know. It's kind of giving. It's like drippy. I feel like there's some type of like drug connection there. So she sits down and instantly the waiter's like, tables are for paying customers. And you obviously in here for some business that ain't got nothing to do with you getting nothing to eat here. So she pretty much is just like, yep, it's me, it's Harmony in the building, was good. I know that I'm infamous around these parts, but I'm doing good. What about y'all? Y'all don't look like y'all doing so good. You feel me? He couldn't even fight her. It was sad. It was sad. He's just like, do you want a coffee or no? She's like, yeah, I'll take a coffee. But goddamn, I don't even know if he poured it before she just starts saying, hey, forget all that. Meet me at the factory. You already know what's up. You know why I'm here. And she leaves, and he's like, he must not got a lot going on. Don't look like he got a lot going on. This is probably the most exciting action he's seen in a minute. So he's like, put my jacket on, close up for me. I'm good. I'm about to go see what's up with Harmony real quick. You feel me? So they end up at this old Lumen Industries factory. Okay, so more lore. They end up getting into a conversation where they drop hella different gems. And that's what I love about this show. They have such a way of keeping the characters authentic and like not corny, but still giving information that builds the world that they're in, right? Instead of it being so on the nose, it's like the way their conversation went was like, okay, in the context of what you're dealing with right now, you still was able to give me so much. So what did she give us, right? From this conversation, we found out that they were indeed exploited for child labor. When they were kids, they were working in this factory making this ether, making these drugs, right? That Lumen was swearing is the cure for the world. And basically, we also learned that there was probably a little something between them, right? At this point in the episode, we see that maybe her referencing how Kier met Imogen in this factory was kind of like a appeal to his emotion, like, hey, like, we had a little something deeper when she's trying to get him to do her a favor. And we also learned that there was probably some, health hazards at this point with this factory when he kind of makes a joke right after she says, oh, this is how Kier met his wife. He's like, oh, but was she coughing up a lung, right? So yeah, there's something there, right? There's still this conversation isn't giving everything away, but it's telling us that there's more there underneath the surface. And one of those things that is now becoming apparent is that even the people that seem like they kind of got it together in this town still may be addicted to this drug. And she smells it on his breath. She's pretty much like continuously like, yeah, boy, I see you ain't really leveled up too much since I've been gone. You still on that stuff. You feel me? But she still obviously has a soft spot for him. So she asks him, can you take me up to Sissy's house? Now, I'm like, who is this? Right? He don't even like her. Don't the whole town don't like this girl. Whole town not messing with this lady. So yeah, she pretty much is like, can you drive me up there? Because if I drive up there, she knows my car. The people following Mr. Drummond, Lumen, right? They are very aware of probably where she's at, where she's going. But she's like, at least if I can throw them off my trail a little bit by getting in the trunk of your car, you drive up there, I hop out, I handle my business, you can stay outside, you ain't even got to deal with the lady. He ends up saying, you know what? Okay, with a little bit of like attitude, he wasn't just going to say yes, but he ended up, you feel me, saying it was good. So they drive up there and continuously while she's in the back of the truck, Devin is calling. Mind you, I forgot to mention, Devin's been calling since Cobell touched down in his town. So every time she's called, she's like, this is not the right time to answer. She just hasn't been answering. Now, is she going to answer in the back of a pickup truck? No, she's probably not. So again, Devin's calling. She's not answering. Of course, we know Devin's calling because Mark is reintegrated and for some stupid reason, Devin thinks that she can trust the lady that was trying to infiltrate her family and hold her baby and not even knowing the heck she's even really there, what her intentions are. But, Devin is like probably freaking out, don't know who to trust and whatever. She somehow thought of Cobell. So they end up pulling up and Harmony's like, boy, you are higher than, let me see, a bearded vulture. A bearded vulture is crazy, but I don't know how she could even tell he was high. I mean, maybe he was just a little more relaxed or something like that, or a little more happier. Because, this is laughing gas. And we see later in the episode that as soon as he sniffs it up, he just start cracking up. So there's something there that she could tell he was high. I might got to rewind that and see how she knew. But that boy was higher than a bearded vulture, I'll tell you. And soon as she pulls up, Sissy's like, oh no, not you, not him, all of this, absolutely not. And Harmony's like, man, get out the way, get out the way. She just storms in the house. So when she storms in the house, she's like looking for something, obviously. Sissy's yapping downstairs. Now, mind you, before this, I thought, while I was watching, I thought this was her sister. But it wasn't until the recap at the end of the episode, like the BTS, of the episode, that they said that this was her aunt. So I was kind of watching it from a different perspective. She's looking for something that's not quite revealed at this point. Um, but even in this exchange between Sissy and Harmony, Miss Cobell, we learn more stuff. So apparently, somehow Sissy got him, and I found out the guy's name from IDB Hampton, got him on this huffing stuff, right? This huffing stuff, that's what we're gonna call it. Got him on the huffing stuff, and something about that is interesting because she seems to be kind of more of like a religious zealot behind Kier. So it's like, what was that connection, right? How, if she's demonizing him for being on drugs, how does she get him on the drugs and then gaslighting him, being like, oh, now you ain't shit? Interesting. But they dropped a little lore still within this conversation. Apparently, Sissy was there in Cobell's mom's final moments, and Cobell's in the understanding that pretty much Sissy is at fault for actually taking her off of the life support or the breath support of the machine that she also brought with her. So Harmony did bring this kind of like breathing tube contraption, which actually goes to a larger machine, which her mom used to be on, which we see eventually once Harmony rummages through the house and finds this key. But before she's rummaging through the house, we see again a lot of different lore. Harmony must have left home around like 12 because we see the height chart ending at that age. All her stuff's been sold though. So, or as we can see later, packed up and put into storage. But pretty much Sissy don't have no respect for her stuff. She's like, you not here, I'm in this house. I don't feel like seeing it. I did something with it. Um, she says she gave it to the poor. And we also, within this exchange of her trying to look for this key, find out that Celestine, who is Sissy. Sissy talked to Mr. Drummond, right? Mr. Drummond is just all up and through everything. I am so interested to see how deep his lore goes and why he decided to become pretty much like a private investigator for Lumen. But look, Sissy wasn't playing. Sissy slapped the mess out of her when she was like, you're the reason pretty much mom died. She's like, look, if she had only believed in Kier just a little bit more, then maybe she would have lived. And I'm just like, damn. I mean, that's crazy. Like, if only she had been a believer. But Lumen came through and corrupted and destroyed the whole town. Like, come on now. I think this is a little bit bigger than being a believer. And again, more lore. We find out that Sissy pretty much raised Harmony to be up in Lumen, right? All up and through Lumen. And she became so devout and such a great student of this way of living that she got accepted into this Wintertide Fellowship. And it seems like this Wintertide Fellowship plucks people from the factories that they probably have all over the world. And that's how you get into the corporate side of Lumen. So there's like the blue collar side of Lumen where you're getting exploited and you're working all day. And mind you, this don't even seem like it's too far in the past. So they're adopting illegal practices probably under the radar of whatever like the greater jurisdiction of, is this the United States and as we know it or whatever, but they're doing illegal things even in this kind of more recent time. And so yeah, we find that Lumen not only corrupted and destroyed this town, but it seems like they're able to kind of corrupt the younger people or certain people that can then establish a certain workflow with the youth, right? Because we see that Celestine was like some sort of youth leader at a certain point, and she might have been the younger sister to Harmony's mom. So, with all that being said, we pretty much get a ton of lore, and I feel like Sissy got a murderous mind. I mean, that lady, She would do. I thought Miss Cobell was bad, but Sissy would do anything, and I mean anything, in the name of care. Come on now. So we see a really emotional moment with Harmony. This episode has a lot of different moments that are kind of like drawn out, so you can like feel the emotion. And we quite literally saw the procession from day to night when Harmony's pretty much laying in the bed, processing her mom. This is the first time she's here since she's been a kid, and she didn't even get to see her mother pass, get any type of closure, get to say goodbye, anything. So this is kind of like her moment of closure. So I think from the outside looking in, it could be kind of like, oh my God, like, why do I need to see this? This feels like filler. But it's like, to me, it's not filler, because is grief filler? Right? Like, everybody grieves differently. Everybody grieves for a different period of time. And this is a woman that never got any of that. So I think, like, to a certain extent, it's humanizing her. It's actually showing us that, like, she's going through things that, I don't know, they don't have a time limit. And I love that they put that day to night. And I love that the guy that brought her Hampton was just kind of gently like, hey, we got to go. But he wasn't really like forcing her or anything. I think there was sort of an innate understanding of like, I get it. And I'm just kind of gently saying, I don't like this lady and we got to go. But when he comes up, she's sort of still in this mode of like, okay, I got my rest. I did that, right? I did my grieving for the time being. I need to find this thing that she's still not revealing, but she just needs to find it. She's like, I know she didn't throw it away. It's something about this that she's like, nah, I know this lady didn't just give it away to the poor or whatever. They have a little moment and they get high. They take out this huff and puff and stuff, and they do their thing, and they just start laughing and they kiss a little bit. But Harmony ain't really on that. She's still one track minded. She's like, I gotta find this stuff. And I haven't even smoked this stuff since I was 8, which is crazy, because an 8-year-old on some huff and puff and stuff is very sad. And obviously he's never stopped. So I mean, he's pretty much been on it his whole life. And she keeps on shaming him about it, and maybe that's why she got selected. Maybe there was something between the time she was 8 and 12 where she was able to not be addicted, and that maybe being a sign to the looming corporate that, okay, this is a person that can sort of stay sober and resist even like the most dire of circumstances, even when you're being pressured and everybody around you is doing the drugs. This person is like caring about their hygiene and caring about their teeth and caring about not being on drugs. So maybe that had something to do with it. Because if she hadn't done it since she was 8, she was there till she was 12, right? And he sells it still, and she finds it shameful, but it's still a little contradictory, right? It's like you're going to do it and shame him, and you kind of know the circumstances everybody was raised in. So maybe that's been her sort of her disposition. That's been her personality that saved her from that environment. It's like, you have to develop certain personality traits and ways of thinking to like survive these toxic environments. And I think that was one of hers, just kind of like shaming other people and like being judgy, kind of put her in a position to be more distinguished and more ready to be selected by Lumen for whatever nefarious things they wanted to do with her. With all that being said, she pretty much gets inspired to check the shed. When she checks this shed, she sees an old yearbook where it shows that she was quite popular and known at the school itself. And then she goes into other things, finds a head of James Egan. And we see that this was a James Egan fellowship specifically. Um, and pretty much she gets into this bust and sees her notebook, right? This is obviously what she's been looking for. We don't see immediately what it is at the moment, but this notebook is obviously hella important. So they get ready to leave, and she tells bruh, hey, get the truck ready. She tells Hampton, hey, get the truck ready and watch my head. Now, that watch my head to me felt like double, right? Because it's, yes, quite literally, watch this head that I'm handing to you, but also watch my head, because I'm about to go back in here and it's about to be smoke. In my mind, I'm like, just go, just get out of there, because this lady is obviously unhinged. Sissy is unhinged, and we don't really know like what she's gonna do next. So I thought that was interesting, but this is all about closure. I feel like this episode is like about closure, and so yeah, she needs this closure with Sissy. But when she gets in there, Sissy is pretty much saying, I'm loyal to Lumen. You want me to lie and tell them that I didn't see you and I don't know nothing,
But you
I ain't
owe them a
about that
fealty
fealty.
anyway.
And Harmony was like, fealty? Like Drake? Fealty? This is my work. I'm tired of playing small. I'm tired of playing humble. And she ends up busting open this notebook and it's hella equations, hella theories. You see things about physics. You see things about like the splitting of personalities and stuff like that all in this notebook. And we see the big reveal that this idea of severance was really Miss Cobell's idea the whole time and not Jane. But she was told, look, if I tell that I did this, I won't be honoring Kier. If I tell that I'm the one that created this, then I'll be pretty much stepping on the toes of the higher ups who are saying like my knowledge is for the betterment of Lumen, right? And with that being said, she's like, nah, not no more. I'm not doing this no more. I don't know what she's about to do next, but Sissy was like, not on my watch. She started straight up trying to snatch the notebook and throw it in the fire. You feel me? But she wasn't really stronger than Miss Cobell, right? And I think, I don't know, part of me is like, if she really wanted to throw it in the fire, she would have. Because a part of her was amazed at first, like, wow, this is phenomenal. Like, you really did this? She believed her, right? She raised this young woman. She knows that she's hella intelligent. Obviously, was probably a genius at that time where she was being raised up in this house with Sissy. But Sissy was like, nah, I gotta at least say I tried to fight, right? When Mr. Drummond called me. So I think that was kind of like, okay, she was torn even within herself. Harmony got the notebook back and she didn't even try to fight. Sissy was like, you're a weed just like your mom was. And I was like, girl, you might need to smoke some. Look, not that huff and puff. You need you some green. You need you some pass and puff. Puff puff pass. You feel me? But you smoke the whole joint. I need her to relax a little bit. You feel me? But this is projection at its finest to me. Because ma'am, like you able to throw insults and all this vitriol at everybody else, but you don't recognize what you've done to pretty much create a cancer throughout this town. So yeah, that was interesting. But pretty much somebody's on the way. They got to go. And instead of Hampton getting in that car and getting Cobell in the back, Hampton was like, look, I'm staying. I'm going to hold you down, girl. And then proceeded to deliver one of the best lines, in my opinion, that we've heard on Severance. This man said, come and tame these tempers, assholes. And I love that for him because he is literally one of the few people in the show that talks normal. Like, if only he could go down to the testing floor and talk to Gemma for a little bit, she might feel like she got a kindred spirit with her. Because I appreciated that he's one of the few people we haven't heard talk in this, besides, I think, the Ennies, obviously, right? But like, that hasn't talked in this super just convolutedly fake pseudo intelligent way of speaking that just like irritates, I think, everybody. So yeah, with his heroic act of staying behind, and I hope that he makes it through. I hope he pulls through and we see him again and that he don't get some sort of, I mean, look, it's Lumen. That hope is very fleeting, but it's still there. I just hope our boy's good. And then we see Harmony finally get away. She's in Hampton's truck, and she finally also answers the call from Devin. So Devin pretty much is immediately like, look, Marcus reintegrated. Harmony's like, oh shoot, you mean Ragavi's around? Okay. She's like, look, I need your help. I don't know what to do. Now, here's my thing. This to me is still satisfying my Devin is a op theory because I think while she may think what she's doing is meaning well, I feel like maybe there's a little something more there. Why would she think to call Miss Cobell out of all people, considering that she was also hella fake with her and was like infiltrating her life with ill intentions? I don't know. I don't get it. But when you have nobody, maybe you just run to the person that you think is closest to the problem. I don't get the logic. But either way, Harmony's like, now got me calling her Harmony. She just got so many names. But pretty much she was like, put Mark on the phone. Mark gets on the phone, sounding like any Mark to me. That sounded very any Mark when he's like, yeah, hello. Like it was giving any Mark. However, understandably, this is both of them together. And I think any mark is maybe more so of his like self that he lost, right? Going through grief, you kind of lose parts of yourself. And maybe any mark is kind of more representative of the version of him that was not affected by the trauma. So he's able to access that version of him again, right? So, with all that being said, Harmony's like, tell me everything. And just like this episode gave us a lot, I'm hoping that that line is a precursor to these next episodes coming up and that we just get a whole bunch of answers. This was actually the first time in an episode of Severance that I haven't left with a million and one more questions. And that's fine. That's what I'm here for. However, I do think that calling this episode filler is low key blasphemy, considering the skillful ways that they keep stuff from us. And now they're just like, hey, y'all, this is it. It's just blatantly child exploitation. It's blatantly, cutting off and severing relationships, familiar relationships, romantic relationships, right? These are people that are not able to have fully functioning, full lives, especially not the ones that Lumen swears they'll get through working with them, for them, all that, right? So that's my recap of Sweet Vitriol, episode 8 of season 2 of Severance. And definitely was not a filler episode. That is blasphemy. You feel me? Your Audi does not think that episodes of Severance are fillers. You love every episode equally. You feel me? So if you feel me, you feel me. And I think that what we're going to see next episode is Miss Cobell is not out to take down Lumen by any means. Don't get it twisted. This episode might have got us feeling for her and recognizing that she's a victim. But at this point, she's a perpetrator, baby, and she just going back to get her spot. And she may even still be in a space where she'll take whatever Lumen will get her that will deem her some sort of connection to the severed floor, to Severance as a procedure. I mean, shoot, she was settling for being a lowly manager that she was able to be thrown out and replaced like that. So I don't think they're gonna budge too much. She's just out to get her spot and maybe even sabotage Cold Harbor because she's not a part of it. I think maybe that's the extent of what we'll get out of her, but she ain't necessarily there to save Mark or save Gemma or nothing like that, in my opinion. I think Gemma being down there is just what she wants. And speaking of Gemma, with Gemma, we're probably going to see her any die or have an experience that's something close to death. And that will be Severance's or Lumen's crown jewel to say, hey, y'all, we've actually cracked the code on immortality and we know how to get you continuously going, even if you're about to die. I think with Helena, there's a connection there too. Like maybe there's a switching of consciousness or a switching of mind because maybe Gemma will die, like as her body, but she'll be living on through Helena. Hence, them trying to continuously make this Mark and Helena thing a thing. I think that him liking Helly will be some sort of like maybe a part of the incentive for him to actually follow through with it and like agree. And when it comes to Dylan, Dylan is going to most likely experience some sort of like he'll stumble upon something where he'll see that his wife is having this sort of affair with his self. But that's a whole other story. I mean, I feel like if you still with me, I wouldn't be tripping, but I don't know. This is an interesting dynamic here. With Irv, definitely scared for him. Mr. Drummond is all up and through everything, including Irv's apartment. And we're going to see just how far they take it when they find out that he's a whistleblower of some kind. And Bert is most likely a snitch, or Fields is a snitch. I'm getting that Fields is a snitch because Fields is like, I'm not dealing with the affair this time. This is my man, my man. I'm choosing to stay here. And so you got to go. I feel for Fields, but yeah, he is snitch most likely. And yeah, I'm not gonna necessarily touch on every little thing here, but I was definitely severely wrong about the rooms being connected to cities. But I still think there's a Lumen connection to how they can orchestrate events for the catalyst to happen that they ultimately want. I definitely feel like Gemma was probably already a part of Lumen and got sent to talk to Mark. I think that maybe that was an assignment. She didn't know it was going to end in her death. She didn't know it was going to end in her having her whole life changed, or maybe it was totally unconnected. They met purely by coincidence, but there was and I mean, nothing's a coincidence, but you know what I'm saying? More of like the thing you can't see in the immediate reasons why something happened, right? So it kind of was more of a random occurrence. But once they got into this whole fertility journey, and she was like, "Look, I'll do anything," and they was like, "Anything," and she was like, "Anything." they used that accident to sort of cover up that she was going to be under this new procedure. I don't know why faking a death would be helpful to that process, but of course they probably lied to Gemma and made it seem like it was different. And yeah, so I think that's what we're gonna see. I want to hear what y'all's thoughts are. I want to hear what theories you've had. I want to hear what theories you still got ongoing. Because honestly, baby, there's still so much to see when it comes to Severance. So I'll see y'all in the next video talking about episode 9. All right, peace.